one late night conversation with a friend who was like, have you ever tried psychedelics? Changing in his brain chemistry from experiencing a psychedelic cured him physically. I heard that and I'm like, well, hey, wait a second. Let me try this. And,
were you nervous or scared to take them?
Terrified. Terrified, but also really about it. The first time I did it, I was like, give me 10 grams.
Holy crap.
Give me 10 grams and we'll see how I do. And this is nothing I've shared publicly, and I love this because this is the reality of who I am and what my story is. I took these mushrooms and I met God.
All right, guys, got a good friend of mine on today. It's his first podcast ever, Kasey Flynn. Thanks for coming, man.
Thank you, Sean.
Dude, when I heard your story, I was like begging you to come on the podcast, for real. What you've been through, and I think the lives you can impact with your story is going to be huge.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I mean, I met you on the videography side and you played in my poker event, but getting to know you and what you went through, dude, I can't wait to dive into it today.
I'm excited. Yeah, it's interesting coming on here. This is my first podcast ever. In preparation, I was watching a couple of your videos, which I've seen them as I tune into like people. Oh, I know that person. I want to watch that. You had one with Joel Brown just recently.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, the very first thing, your opening line was, you're like, I was so nervous the first time I was on a podcast with you. And I'm like, okay, cool. Permission to feel.
Yeah. Yeah. He was the first show I ever went on. Shout out to Joel Brown. And it was over Zoom. So it wasn't even this. And I was still nervous, but nerves are natural. This is not a natural setting for a human being to just go in and crush it.
I love it though.
Yeah.
Challenge me.
But dude, your health journey, I want to talk about it because you had a near-death experience, right?
Several. Yeah. Life keeps trying to end me and God keeps saying, no, you got more to do. So, boy, where do we begin with that? First, I think the first rabbit trail to go down would be the autoimmune issues.
Yeah.
So starting at about 13 years old, I developed like a black spot in my vision on my left eye, which I never had great vision to start with. But at 13, that black spot came in. We didn't really think much of it at the time. But about 6 months later, it like suddenly grew to the point where it enveloped most of the vision in that eye.
Wow.
And then a little bit later, it was just gone. So
your whole eye was black?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, okay, black is interesting. It's like not black. It's like the absence of any input, if that makes sense.
So there was
black
no white?
Is, yeah.
Okay.
Like black is still something. It's like there's nothing.
Yeah.
Which is hard to describe, but it's the absence of any input is the best way I can describe that. Like if you look at a TV and it displays black, you can still tell that the TV's on, but when the TV's off, it's like, oh, now there's nothing.
Yep.
So yeah, started with that. And then over the coming years, it just kept progressing into different, like my sleep was affected. I would barely sleep 2-3 hours a night. I started getting issues with my skin and then scarring. And that scarring is not just on the surface of my skin, but it like reaches into my joints and in my organs. So I'm basically just one walking time bomb of scar tissue.
Right.
I was told that I would be dead at 18.
Holy crap. And how old were you when you were told that?
About 16 and a half.
So a year and a half to live.
Yeah. Which at the time was like having to process that at that time because I wasn't firm in who I was as a person, let alone where I stood with God, where I stood with my life purpose. And being told that it was all just going to end before I could figure any of that out was distressing to the point where I wanted to just kill myself to end it because I had no control. Everything about myself was out of my control. And being in that state was not having control as the person that I am was distressing, to say the least.
I think for almost anyone, that'd be so stressful because that's one thing they're telling you can't even change. They're telling you you're going to die by this date.
Right.
And you feel like your power's not there anymore.
which was really for me the beginning of no longer trusting Western medicine.
Right.
Because to tell a child, hey, you're going to die, when they don't even have an official diagnosis. I've seen over the years 19 different doctors and specialists from like all over the world. No one can accurately diagnose me.
Wow.
They've given me everything from, it's cancer to it's fibromyalgia to arthritis to like guys.
I don't think you had arthritis.
No. I mean, my knees are but like it's all the same thing to them apparently. They just, nobody had any real answers. So to be that definitive, like, yeah, you're going to die at 18. Putting a timer on a child like that was not, that was cruel, in my opinion. So from that point, I said, okay, well, it. I either kill myself, take control that way, or take control by putting as much of my health in my own hands as I can.
Right.
So I literally devoted my entire existence to studying medicine and alternative medicine and all of the different modalities of how I could potentially heal myself.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that helped me was fasting.
Really?
So limiting the window in which I would eat food to basically just one meal a day and then doing several prolonged fasts. So like I'd fast for a week at a time.
Yep.
That was the only thing that I could use to actually modulate my own health.
Interesting.
And at that point, on my 18th birthday, I fasted for 10 days. So like the start of my 18th birthday, I did a 10-day fast, and it was kind of like, you. like, yeah, look, I'm alive, bro.
Yeah.
And that was also when I started my entrepreneurial journey. So
Okay.
I started posting YouTube videos. I like got into the skill set of videography. And I didn't realize at the time that that's what I was doing, that I was moving toward content creation from there.
Yep.
As a professional basis. I just started doing it because I was like, I want to document my life. I want to make my life count in some way because the timer that they said I had is up and I'm still here. So clearly I win and I get to make what I want of the time that I have because all of the rest of this time is bonus.
Right.
This is extra time. So from that point, I started making YouTube videos. I did like a bunch of different vlogs. And then someone at some point was like, hey, bro, I'll give you $100 if you make me a video. And it blew my mind. I was like, wait, what? You can make money making videos for people? And that was kind of that was my catalyst into then becoming an entrepreneur.
Amazing.
So,
and now you're making thousands a day filming and editing videos.
that's my thing.
And it's cool because you actually like it too.
I love it.
So you're passionate about the way you're making money, which is, in my opinion, the secret to happiness.
And it's interesting when you make your passion your source of income as well, because then you have these times of the relationship changing. So like right now I'm in a season where I almost resent it unless I'm doing something for myself. And so literally I'm telling you now, I'm using this as the catalyst for me to get back into my content creation because I quit my YouTube channel. I quit all of my own content creation once the business picked up and I was like, oh, this is the thing I should do. And for years, all I did was content for other people. So I don't have an existing personal brand.
Yeah.
And people ask me all the time, it's like, oh, can I follow you on Instagram? You go, I have no content over there.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, I know. You're like doing research like, bro, what are we talking about?
No, the last video was my poker game.
Yeah.
Which was like 6 months ago.
I think it was more like a year ago.
Oh, it was a year ago?
Yeah.
Wow. Time flies out here.
So that, I always tell people, it's like, I'm the shoemaker with holes in his shoes.
Yeah.
I make other people famous online. I help other people build their personal brands, but I don't have one of my own. So I'm using this podcast as like the catalyst. By the time this comes out, I'm going to have content on my Instagram. I'm going to have videos out there. I'm going to have an expanded following than I currently do. I can't guarantee what I'm going to have, but I'm going to make myself a client of my own business.
Love it.
So I think that's the only way at this point that I will keep the passion alive in it because it's just gotten to the point where now it's just work.
Yeah.
And I don't want to lose my love for content.
Yeah. I think going through phases of work is necessary to get to the next level.
Everything's phases.
Yeah.
And this is another thing I'm dealing with is that there is no real balance. Balance does not exist.
Agreed.
You are all in on one thing or you're in nothing at all. And that doesn't mean you can't be working in multiple areas at a time. But if you're at work, imagine a pendulum. The pendulum is all the way over here in work. You be in work. That is it. When you go home, now be 100% in family. When you go to the gym, be 100% in the gym. All of these different areas, you have to be 100% in at any given time.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you can't do them all at once, but there can also be seasons of, hey, I'm going to take 6 months and work solely on my business.
Agreed.
Or solely on my spiritual development.
Yeah. And we're going to dive into that. Because you be doing some psychedelic retreats.
Heck yeah, we do.
And now, well, I don't know if you want to tell people about your mom, but no, it's really cool to see you go down that path because I did it as well. And it changed my life.
So, yeah, psychedelics. This was probably the second biggest turning point for me. So there was 18, the point at which I realized, oh, okay, I'm not going to die. I have time left. Regardless of how much time that is, I don't think of it on a scale of like, well, there's going to be an end point. It's like, you know what, I could live to be 120 and just surprise everyone. But at the same time, there's still an urgency to act, and I like that. I like not knowing. That's off topic. So the second turning point for me was about, what was it, like 3 years ago at this point? Yeah. It's like 3 years ago. I used my business as a means of distracting myself from the inner work that I needed to do. I didn't heal the wounds of the child who wanted to kill himself. I just kind of swept them under the rug and was like, well, now I have a business to run, and now I'm married, and so I have to provide, and now I have to do all these things to be what I believe a man to be.
Yeah.
And in that, I lost myself. I didn't actually work on who Kasey was. I worked on everything else. So there's still always the undertone of me trying to find healing physically. And one late night conversation with a friend, he was like, have you ever tried psychedelics? Because I have a cousin who took psychedelics and it like his whatever he had. It was some physical ailment, but like the changing in his brain chemistry from experiencing a psychedelic cured him physically.
Wow.
So I heard that and I'm like, well, hey, wait a second. Let me try this. From that point, it was still a few years before I ever actually did it.
Okay.
But I had researched psychedelics and specifically psilocybin mushrooms for a while at that point. And,
were you nervous or scared to take them?
Terrified.
Yeah.
Terrified, but also really cocky about it. The first time I did it, I was like, give me 10 grams.
Holy crap.
Give me 10 grams and we'll see how I do. Because I had no concept, right?
That's an ego death, they call it.
Yeah, ego death. I am grateful for who I had there at the time because he's my best friend. He's wonderful. He's actually my partner in the psilocybin retreats that we run now.
So you actually ate 10 grams though?
No. Okay. He was smart and he was like, okay, bro, I know what you want. I know that you're trying to have some mystical experience here. You should probably do like 3.5.
Yeah.
I'm like, 4. So he gives me 4 grams. And this is nothing I've shared publicly, and I love this because this is the reality of who I am and what my story is. I took these mushrooms and I met God.
Wow. I
had what was, by the way, at the time, the most terrifying experience I could possibly have. I thought I went to hell. What it was the actual, it was the expression of the thoughts that I held on to of killing myself. Being played out in a vision. So under the medicine, I saw myself dying.
Wow.
And everything around me was death. And in that experience, I fought so hard because I felt like my life leaving my body. And I'm like, no, I don't want to die. I'm not going to let that happen. And after the experience of mushrooms is like 6 hours. Those 6 hours felt like 1,000 years. I had the physical sensation of hundreds of years of time passing.
Yeah. Talk about a bad trip.
Yeah. So that's what it was. So here's the thing. People call them bad trips. I have relabeled them to challenging experiences because there is no bad. There's no good either, but there is just what grows you and what is meant for you. There are no accidents. I experienced exactly what I needed to experience because I always will experience exactly what I need to experience. That is life.
Yeah.
Life is working for me. And yeah, in that experience, it felt bad, but the end result was true freedom. Because what happened after hundreds of years of fighting my own death, I eventually gave up. I was not able to fight anymore, and I died. And in the void, which I was the void, I heard a voice say, audibly, "Did you see how hard you just fought not to die? You'd never actually wanted to die. You just wanted to stop living the way you were living. Try again." After the words "try again," it was like the void became a vacuum, and it was like I was thrown back into the chair that I was in physically in the room. The sound of like, and then I'm there, back in the room, in my body, alive again. And I just have this immense peace of, oh, it was never about dying. It was just that I didn't want to live the way I was.
Wow.
Since then, I healed my relationship with my mother, which was not great at the time. She and I were just, I was expressing the wounds of being a scared child.
Yep.
And I separated myself from her. My mom and I are like best friends now.
Incredible.
All of my relationships improved. My business improved. My mindset improved. My health did improve just from my own experience of life being less stressful. And I genuinely believe that that experience did save my life, because had I not healed those wounds, I most likely would have revisited the experience of wanting to die, because I didn't understand. I didn't compartmentalize it as, no, it's not that you want to die. It's that there's a piece of you that needs to.
Right.
And in that psychedelic experience, it did. And through that, I found freedom.
Amazing. And there's so many people walking around with wounds and trauma right now. Like almost everyone, I'd say.
Which is why in these retreats so now we're hosting retreats as it's becoming more legalized, becoming more accepted in society.
Yeah.
We have a 3-day retreat that we run, and it's basically around transformational training. There's a bunch of different transformational coaches out there. We incorporate these trainings with the use of plant medicines like psilocybin to then integrate the things that you're learning, experiences you're having in life, things that you learned in the trainings, and then integrate that into your life so that you can go forward changed.
That's powerful, man. I think everyone should at least look into psychedelics. I know it's kind of polarizing.
It's very polarizing.
Very, yeah.
Especially coming from a conservative Christian background.
Oh, yeah.
I still identify as a follower of Christ. I
Really?
don't identify as a Christian.
What do Christian people think of psychedelics?
It's interesting because it's often not discussed. It's not like an area of discussion, like, oh, stay away from that. Like alcohol is very heavily discussed. Do not be drunk with wine, and like all these different things. Like, bro, Jesus made wine, so there's some incongruencies in what you're saying here. Yeah, psychedelics are not often discussed in the church, but it generally falls under the same category of don't be drunk, don't be hindered, don't let your judgment be impaired by some sort of substance.
Right.
But then also, it kind of bleeds into the, don't mess with mediums, don't play with magic and all of those things. I don't believe it to be truly magic. I believe it to just be you being aware of your true nature, which your true nature is a spirit. And by having something that pulls your awareness of your body out of you, you are forced to look at what you truly are, because you're not distracted by the vision of this, which is ultimately an illusion.
Right.
This is the illusion. The reality is what we are after this. What we are with inside this. Yeah.
Spiritual creatures, right? With just a physical vessel.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we are a spiritual being that has a physical body.
Right. I believe
not
that.
the other way around.
I do believe that. I think this is just a time and space, but we're really, who knows? I mean, I don't know. I believe in afterlife, but I don't. Christians have a heaven or hell, right?
Yes. So this is where I differ from what is typical in Christianity. I believe when Jesus came to earth, he defeated death. He defeated hell. And he brought unity between man and God. So I am now unified with God. And I also believe in an afterlife. Whether that afterlife is that I get to repeat a physical experience or that it is I then go into a purely spiritual experience, I don't know. I don't know that yet.
I'm on the same page.
And I'm open to either possibility. I'm open to it being that I spend some time in the spirit realm and then I come back here, or I never come back here, or it's a continual loop of coming back here. Because if I'm an aspect of God, which I am, I'm grafted into the family of God, and what do you call the child of anything but the same thing that it is the child of? God created us so that he could experience himself more fully. And so if it is about experiencing yourself as God, then why would it only happen once?
Right. Wouldn't make sense logically.
Wouldn't make sense logically.
Yeah.
So I'm open to either possibility. There's nothing scripturally, using the Bible as a basis for belief, there's nothing in scripture that tells us that doesn't happen. So anytime you talk about like reincarnation or anything like that, people just like red flags, you're a Satanist. Okay, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm just theorizing based on the information that I have, which there's nothing in the information that you base your own faith on as a Christian that says this is not true.
Right.
And I'm open to be proved wrong.
A lot of religion is, you can't even argue it because there's no set like data or anything.
And that's my thing is if you're unable to question it, you don't actually have faith. I would argue I have more faith than most Christians because I'm willing to question everything.
Right.
If you're unwilling to question it, you're afraid of what you might find if you do. So is that actually faith?
Yeah. You're just
do you
a follower.
Actually believe it?
That's a good point. So do you even go to church? Because you're probably that kid that raises their hand and questions.
Yeah, it's exactly why I don't go to church.
Yeah.
I recently had an experience where a very Baptist pastor called me a heathen and a wolf in sheep's clothing who was corrupting my family because of the beliefs that I shared.
Holy crap, in front of everyone?
In front of everyone. I'm like, great, cool.
What led to that though?
I was talking about, so there's a belief system that is often referred to as preterism, which is that essentially that Jesus has already returned. So the second coming has already happened.
Yeah.
I believe that that is the case. I don't identify as a preterist because there's even parts of that. I don't have a belief system that I can say I am a this-ist. I'm just me experiencing what I experience and informing my own belief system off of what I experience because that's the only thing that's real.
Got
my
it.
experience. You can tell me whatever you want to tell me, but what I've experienced is what's real. So, yeah, what led to that? I was basically saying that, yes, the second coming of Christ has happened, and it happens in me. Because the kingdom of God, using your own Bible, the kingdom of God is a spiritual kingdom. Man will not look and say, it is here, it is there, but it is a spiritual kingdom. It cannot be seen with your eyes. We are part of the spiritual kingdom. The kingdom is in me. I am the second coming of Christ. And people are going to be like, oh, that's blasphemy. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, the life. No one comes to the Father but through me. Yes, his coming is what unified us with God. Jesus also said, I am the vine, and you are the branches. What is a vine but a branch? Jesus said, I am the Son of God. And then he looks out at all of us and he says, and you are the children of God. Okay, well, so he's the Son of God. The Son is a child of God. And he says that we are also the children of God. So you're saying we're the same. Jesus and I are the same thing. I'm not the Almighty, but I am a aspect of God. because I'm unified with him.
Yeah. That is interesting. I just got back from Salt Lake. I couldn't believe how many churches there were there, dude. Every single street. And I'm curious, and like you, I like to question things, right?
Yep.
So I'm talking to these locals, and dude, it's almost like some of them are brainwashed. Like, it is crazy.
It's the Mormon faith is the most it is a brainwashing society. They literally, if you question anything, you're immediately ostracized, or you're put through a retraining protocol where they will sit you in front of these video screens, and they're going to play all the videos that make you, remind you, this is how it is. These are our beliefs. Do not deviate from them. It's terrifying, half the stuff that they do. It is clinical mind control.
I met a kid that got kicked out at 16 for not going to church.
There you go.
I mean, it's nuts. His own father kicked him out, and his brother.
And if God is love, explain to me how that is loving.
And they're so brainwashed where their father thinks that is loving.
Yep.
Crazy.
Love never attacks.
Yeah. And then you look at the finances behind how much these churches are making over there. They own almost every big real estate building out there.
Yeah. And I go back to, again, how Jesus responded to when they were selling and operating merchant tables in the tabernacle. Dude flips out. Starts cursing him out and screaming, flipping the tables over. Like, what have you done? This is the house of God, and you're profiting off of it. That is not at all what we're here to do. That is not of my Father. That is not of God. So anytime there is financial incentive, I do not believe God to be in that, which includes all of the Christian church today.
Yeah, because 10%, right?
10%, you gotta tithe. Don't you realize the tithe was a tax to the people of the time? Why are we still being taxed? Especially if it's good news. There's no good news and you still have to pay your dues to be saved, bro. Like, that's not good news, bro. Good news is, oh, you're forgiven and you're unified with God. That's good news.
Yeah.
That means my eternity is secured, whether I can afford it or not.
Was your religion kind of a separating factor for you and your mother?
Not at the time, no.
Okay. So that was something else.
So what started that, I had a very interesting childhood. I'm one of 2 biological siblings, and all the rest were adopted. So I actually have 10 adopted brothers and sisters.
That's a lot.
So I'm one of 12 kids.
Okay.
Very interesting growing up. I'm the second oldest. I essentially raised all of the kids under me. Like, there was a point we had 5 in diapers, which if you raised kids, if you messed with them at all, it's like 3 diapers a day per child. So I was changing like 15 diapers a day, taking care of them while my parents were doing what they were doing. My older brother was doing what he was doing.
Okay. So you had to grow up quick.
I had to grow up pretty quick. Yeah. And I matured in different ways that, pardon me. Yeah, I had a very interesting childhood. And so from that, who's now my wife, she came into the household to help us take care of the children, like do laundry, homeschool them. We're all homeschooled, by the way. And in the experience of her coming and helping, I ended up finding myself attracted to her and wanting a relationship with her. So my wife, at a time, was in my family and considered a sister by pretty much everyone.
Whoa.
So she wasn't officially adopted, but my family's very good at just adopting people, and my wife came into our house, came into our life at a time when her mother had passed away when she was younger, and her dad just didn't really have a relationship with her.
Yeah.
So we were like, oh, you're an orphan. We'll adopt you. And I'm over here like, bro, I think she's hot. I kind of like to, and now she's my sister, so that's weird. Like, you've heard of the friend zone? Let me tell you about the brother zone.
That's funny, dude.
Yeah.
Wow. So that caused the rift with you and your mom?
Basically, yeah. So because my mother loved her like a daughter.
Yeah.
Because she has that heart. She's able to just literally adopt anyone and see them as her own. She also loved me as her son. And so in the moment of me saying, I want to marry this girl and take her away, be husband and wife, she felt like she was losing 2 children. And there was drama around that, also coming from my wife, coming from my mom, coming largely from me, because I create everything in my life. And it was something I needed to reconcile.
Wow. It's cool to see you have extreme ownership over your life.
If I am an aspect of God, and God created us in his image, and God is a creator, then I create everything. So also having is evidence of wanting. So if I have drama in my life, clearly I want the drama.
Interesting. Because a lot of people say the drama comes to them and they don't cause it.
That's awfully convenient of you. and this is another thing this is going back to the Christian church. This is why I struggle with that, because they blame everything on the devil. It's like, oh, well, the devil made me sin. It's like, you're not taking any ownership for the actions that you took. Nothing made you do that but your own self. You decided to do whatever it is you're going to do.
Yeah.
Which to me is, again, a more righteous way to view the world, that, oh, I'm solely responsible for all of my mistakes, therefore I'm solely responsible for making it right. And at the same time, I can give myself grace knowing that I'm forgiven ultimately. Like that is good news to me. But if you have this constant cycle of needing to repent daily, like in the Catholic Church, if you don't tell this man, I'm sorry I did this thing, please forgive me, I'm going to go count my beads. Like, how is that a true relationship with God? All of those things, I'm not saying those are necessarily bad, it's just those are traditions.
Right.
And God is not a tradition. God is, you can't put him in a box. He's infinite.
Yeah.
So for you to say the only way to God is if you count your beads and say your prayers and confess to this man who's ordained through a box. Like that's, anyway.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. I think people go a little too extreme. Have you found your why, your purpose, your mission?
To experience.
That's it? To experience?
To experience. To allow what is meant for me to become the fullest version of myself. Allow it fully, accept it, love it, lean into it. Anytime I've tried to define one specific purpose, I've had many crises around that thing falling away. So when I made my business my purpose, I put so much weight on it that I became desperate.
Yeah.
And so my business began to fail. When I put so much weight into my relationships, I become desperate because, oh, that's my purpose. So if I lose this, what am I? What do I mean? They fail. Neediness never works. The second you need something, it's going to be stripped from you because you have growth to find in having that need taken.
Wow, that's deep. That's deep. So that's a little contradictory to manifestation, though.
Yeah.
So what are your takes on manifestation?
Manifestation is interesting because it doesn't come from a place of needing. It comes from a place of, first of all, I believe all my needs will always be taken care of. But manifestation comes from a place of wanting or desiring a fuller or different experience.
Right.
And I believe that if I believe, again, Jesus gave the keys to manifestation. He said, ask and you shall receive. But not only ask with thanksgiving, meaning feel the gratitude as if you already have the thing while asking for that thing. Because that is true faith. You have so much faith that you already feel like a multimillionaire. So it will come to you. Because true faith is being able to look in the eyes of the potential of it not happening and still saying, no, I trust the promise that if I ask for it with thanksgiving, it will come to me. So you can already feel the gratitude of it actually happening before it actually does. And then you become attuned to the vibration of having $100 million, and then it just comes to you. So yes, I do believe in manifestation, but it's not from a place of need. It's from a place of experiencing a fuller experience.
What do you think about people that claim to have spiritual abilities like psychics, mediums, and all that stuff?
I believe it.
Yeah?
I believe it's... I'm open to all possibilities, I think is a better thing to say.
Okay, and that's rare for someone with your Christianity background.
I think a great deal of my beliefs are so different from a typical Christian background that I don't identify as a Christian. I just follow Christ. And where was I going with that? I had a thought. I was going somewhere with.
No, I'm just fascinated by this because most people within the religion community are super separate from the spiritual community.
Yeah, which is, I think, unfortunate because how dare you put God in a box? How dare you try and limit what God is capable of? I believe in spiritual gifts. Absolutely. Not saying I have them or that you have them or that any other particular person has them. I'm also not saying it's necessarily helpful that we know the future if someone can know the future.
Yeah.
Is it helpful? I don't know. What are the fruits of it? Does your life improve when you do that, or does your life degrade when you do that? Well, if it degrades, then it's probably not good.
Yeah.
My definition of good and bad is based on what works. Does it work? So, okay, did killing that person work? Well, no, now I'm in prison. I'm being beat up in prison because I'm a terrible person. I'll never have a normal life again. Okay, well, that didn't work. Didn't work. So it's bad.
Yeah.
And that was a natural consequence that God built into the system. Now, if I don't work a typical 9 to 5 and I hustle hard and I pour myself into something that I'm passionate about and I try and add value to other people, suddenly I'm making more money than everyone else who's following this other system. Suddenly I feel more free. I feel more full and experienced. Oh, it's working. This must be good. But that's for me. Someone else, they might thrive in a scenario that's more of a 9 to 5. Then they can focus more on their family. They can separate work time and family time, and it can be what it is for them.
Right.
I don't believe in there being absolute black and white for every single person of what good is. And Paul talks about this in his writings.
Yeah.
Talks about how, look, there is objective good and bad. You don't kill people. But there's also things like alcohol. Someone can drink alcohol, enjoy the alcohol, experience the alcohol, but not be an idiot and not lose their life over it. Some people have no way of controlling themselves around it. So they need to not drink alcohol at all.
Right.
For them to drink alcohol would be a sin. For this other person who can control himself, it's not a sin for him. So there is a gray area there is a gray area in terms of what good and bad is, and it depends on the result for the person.
Yeah, good and evil is subjective. Robert Edward Grant talks about this.
Yes.
He said it doesn't exist.
I completely agree.
But growing up, you're taught that it does in every movie, every single show, books. So that's why we're programmed to think like that. But
And
it's all subjective. Oh, there's a lot of that.
It's all it is to control you.
I've spent the past 2 years unlearning so much stuff, and I still have so many limiting beliefs in my business about me being a control freak and all this stuff that I'm now unlearning.
Same.
And delegating. It's tough though, man.
I have issues around worthiness, feeling like I'm even worthy to be on this podcast.
Really?
I'm even worthy to go make content. Like, why would anyone want to listen to me?
Huh. So what is that? Well, I mean, I kind of had that too growing up.
It is just a worthiness thing.
Worthiness.
And that's where I'm still, if I'm 3 parts, right? If I'm a body, if I'm a spirit, and I'm a soul. My soul is my conscious mind. My body is the vessel that's living inside of, and also inside of that is my spirit. But my spirit is the observer. My spirit is always loving. My spirit is always neutral, ultimately. And it's just observing what my thoughts are. You can remove yourself and you can listen to your thoughts, but the same way I can listen to birds singing outside, I know I'm not the birds. So if I can listen to the birds and know I'm not the birds, then I can listen to my thoughts and know I'm not my thoughts.
Interesting.
I am not what's thinking. I'm the observer of what is thinking.
Yeah. I'm listening to this book right now, actually, The Power of Now.
Love that book.
And
Eckhart Tolle. Oh my goodness.
He's just basically saying a lot of thoughts are negative.
Yep.
So you got to just be aware of that. I think he said 80 to 90%.
If they're negative, are they of God? Or are they of physical matter? Which, if God is the positive energy and physical matter is the negative energy, well, we need both. That's the yin and yang. That's everything existing together. But which do you want to polarize to? Do you want to polarize to the negative and be fully in the physical experience? And we see that in people who are just very materialistic.
Oh, yeah.
And they live miserable lives, ultimately. They have everything, but they're sad inside.
Yep.
Because they've completely turned off their positive charge. which is in the spirit. When you lean into the spirit, doesn't mean you can't have nice things. It just means that you understand where your ultimate value is, which your ultimate value is in the spirit.
There's also the opposite where people lean too much into spirit and there's no materialistic side.
Yeah.
Monks, right?
And name one time where being 100% in either direction is healthy at all. There is the yin and yang for a reason. You must have both sides, because if you have nothing to compare the other side to, then ultimately you have nothing. If I hold up black and white, you know that they're black and white because you can compare them to each other. But if I just hold up black, what do you have? If you have just black, what do you have? There's nothing. If I hold up just white, and just everything's white, there's nothing. It's only in the contrast that things materialize, that anything is in existence. So when someone tries to eliminate one side of the equation, they become nothing.
Right. And
they become limited.
And you see that with social media. People are trying to shut down one side.
Yep.
I think we should always have free discussions.
Always.
Freedom of speech, man.
And that's another thing I love, is that these are the beliefs that I hold right now. And it's not even like, to say beliefs is such an interesting thing. In the middle of the word belief is also the word lie. So I don't tell people that I believe in God. I tell them I know God. Because to believe requires that there's still doubt. I don't believe in God. I know God. Completely different thing to me. But around that, I have other beliefs. I have other things, like maybe there is reincarnation. Like maybe all of these different things, right? These are all just different principles that I'm willing to question given the evidence. But everything that I currently believe is evidence-based and experience-based. So as of now, I'm solidified in what I believe until I'm presented new evidence.
Right. And that's how it should be for everyone, you know?
And I'm saying that because I know that there's a delay between the time that this comes out, that we're filming this now and this comes out. And if someone comes to me and is like, bro, why do you believe that? It's like, okay, look, that was me at the time. And I fully accept that was me at the time. And that was the experience I was living. And I love that for me.
A lot can change in 3 months.
A lot can change.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dude, it's been very interesting. Anything you want to end off with or promote? I know you got the retreats.
Yeah, we're doing psilocybin retreats. By the time this comes out, we'll have a whole new retreat schedule. The retreats are Silly retreats, so PSILLY, like psilocybin. My media company is Collective Productions, Collective with a K. I just want to thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Of course, man. I'm happy to give you a platform. Hopefully this can lead to a lot more for you.
What this will be is this is my catalyst for from here. I will have content created, distributed on all platforms by the time this comes out. So this will then be a funnel into that.
Love it.
So I'm
cool, man.
I'm here to promote Kasey Flynn.
Let's do it. We'll link your stuff below. Thanks for coming on, Kasey.
Appreciate you, man.
Yep. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, see you tomorrow.